Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Kenny, one of the counselors here at Heartland High School. I'll be going over today the process for scheduling for the 11th grade. So this video is intended for current 10th graders who are going through the procedure of selecting courses for next year when they are juniors. So I'm going to dive right in by sharing my screen and take you to the Heartland High School homepage. So this is heartlandhighschool.us, and at the top you've got your menu, and if you click counseling, it will take you to the counseling website, which has a lot of information on it, scheduling and otherwise. So if I click scheduling on the left-hand side, it will take me to this menu of attachments and information that will be useful as you work through the scheduling process. Some of you are receiving hard copies of some of this paperwork today. You can always refer back to it on the website. And for those of you who are at home, you can access these documents online. If you want to come in and get hard copies of anything, please let us know. Let your counselor know. We'll print and prepare some hard copies if that's helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to start by opening up the 11th grade course sheet, and we'll kind of walk through how to fill this out, and I'll go over the important things that we need to review with you, and then that'll be the gist of the video. So what you're looking at in front of you is a color-coded version of this form. You should have a yellow 11th grade course request sheet in front of you, and you'll notice at the top right, where the one I'm looking at is blank, you will see your name, and right underneath of your name, your Student Connect password. So first of all, make sure you have the right form in front of you, that it is indeed your name, and don't lose it. So we give you this form with your name and password on it so that it's easy for you to go into Student Connect and load your course requests. So it's important that you not lose it since it's got that personal information on it. All right. I'm going to first point out at the top here those 4 points that we like to make, and then we'll start talking about how to make your course selections. Make sure that while you are filling out your course sheet, you get any teacher signatures that you need to get, and that you fill out any applications that are required. I'll touch on that a little bit later too. Once you have this totally filled out, you will load your course selections into Student Connect, not your alternates. You only put your top 7 credits in Student Connect. And then just like you've done in years past. To read course descriptions, visit the Heartland High School Counseling website to access the curriculum guide. I can't emphasize this enough. I'm going to jump out in a second and show you the curriculum guide and how to use it. Once you have all of those things done, you will return your course selection sheet to your English teacher no later than Thursday, January 28th. Those of you who are at home, we need the form returned to the building one way or another, and not electronically because we need the yellow version of it. So we ask that you either mail that back to the high school or arrange a time to drop it off at the building. All right, I'm going to click back to the Heartland High School website, and above scheduling, a couple up, you're going to see the curriculum guide. When you come here, this is an 80 some odd page document that has everything you could want to know about like Heartland High School curriculum, graduation requirements, honors, scheduling process, so on and so forth. But what's important for you to notice is that each department has a section in the curriculum guide. They're in alpha order, so you'll find like art at the beginning and world languages near the end. Each department starts with a grid like this that lists every class offered in that department. On the left-hand side, you've got course number, course name, the credit value, the grade level, if there are any prerequisites, and then if it meets the requirements of anything like BPA. So if you are looking at selecting courses and you see a little P after the course title, for example, on the back of your course sheet, you would see like Art 3 with a P next to it. P means prerequisite. If you're not sure if you've satisfied that prerequisite, then you need to refer to the curriculum guide. Come to this chart, say, oh, the prerequisite for Art 3 is Art 2, and then fine, you'll know if you're eligible for that class. Prerequisite, if you aren't aware, just means you have to have completed that class before you move on to the next level. Then below each grid, it launches into course descriptions. So every year we have students who end up in classes and they're surprised. They're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. you have to get me out. And our hands are generally tied with that. We can't make schedule changes in August or after a semester has started because you are surprised about what the class is. That's why it's so important to read course descriptions and to fill your course sheet out super carefully so that you're picking classes you would be happy with. I will drive that home a little bit later too. So this is where you can find out what a class is about. Some course titles are super intuitive and others aren't. So if you're not sure what a class is about, you don't know what, building wealth means, then you can come here and read the course description. So that is all in this curriculum guide, which is posted on the website. I'm going to come back to the 11th grade course selection sheet now. There we go. And we will start from top to bottom. All right, so your first selection will be your English class. You have a couple of options here. You're going to do English 11, A and B, for a total of 1 credit of English, or you might opt for AP Language and Composition. You'll notice that that class requires a teacher signature. So that means that over here in the right-hand box, you would be getting your current English teacher to sign off that they approve and feel like that's a good fit for you. Regardless, it's 1 credit of English, which will be your 3rd credit of English in high school. You take 4 throughout your 4 years: English 9, 10, 11, and 12, AP Language, AP Lit. All right, then we're moving on to social studies, where you have 3 years required. So you'll be taking your final year of social studies next year. Hear me out here, because this gets kind of tricky when we get to econ. So American government, you will either take the semester American government, or you can take AP US government and politics with teacher approval. That would be from your current social studies teacher. That's a year-long class. You have to finish the whole year in order to get the Gov credit. So if you are in AP Gov and then for whatever reason next January you drop AP Gov, you would have to still take American Government because they don't cover everything in 1 semester of AP Gov. So it's one of those 2 options. And then for econ, you have a few ways to get there. You will either take econ, which is a semester-long class, or you can take personal finance, which is a business course, also a semester long. But to activate personal finance as your social studies credit, you have to take a social studies elective. I'm going to scroll to that section here. Oops. Okay, so all of these classes here, social studies classes. Some of them are electives, others are grad requirements. But to count personal finance as your econ credit, you have to take one of these social studies electives. It can be in 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. So if you already took history of sports in America, for example, you can just take finance and be done. Or you can take finance and then maybe you want to take history of Africa or something like that to satisfy your social studies credit. Sorry, this one is last year's. So it's next year history of Russia and history of revolutions, which is what you have in front of you. That's how to make finance count for your econ credit. Your third option, which can get confusing too, is marketing. If you've already taken marketing or you plan to take marketing, you will, during the course of that class, take the econ test out test. If you pass that test with a 77% or better, you will get econ credit on your transcript. Done. So marketing plus passing the test. If you don't pass the test, you can take a social studies elective, just like with finance, and that will count. So marketing plus social studies elective, done. Okay, so I'm going to review that one more time. You can take econ, you can take finance plus a social studies elective, or you can take marketing and pass the test, or you can take marketing and a social studies elective. If you have questions, please see your counselor. You can always send us an email or give us a call if you have questions about anything. That in particular, we will meet with you all in February and make sure that the options you've selected make sense. So, alrighty, moving on to science, which you also need 3 credits of in high school to graduate. The sequence is biology, earth science, and then chemistry, honors chemistry, or physics or honors physics. So it's chem or physics. In your 3rd year of science, those could be honors if you so choose. You have to take 3 years while you're in high school. So some of you might need to take some other science elective to satisfy that 3rd year in high school. Talk to your current science teacher about their recommendation for your science class next year as far as which is the best fit for you. Your counselor can help too. But again, you should have 1 credit of science for your junior year. Those of you who may be transferred to Heartland might be off sequence, and again, you'll work with your counselor to make sure that you have the appropriate science selected. And then finally, for your last core class is your math. Again, you have a sequence to follow here. You do 4 credits of math while you're in high school, and that is Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then a 4th year of math in your senior year. Now, you might be ahead of that sequence if you, for example, did Algebra in 8th grade, Geometry in 9th, and you're in Algebra 2 right now. So again, this is a conversation to be having with your current math teacher to make sure you're picking the appropriate class that's next in the sequence. Notice, though, that you do need a teacher signature for Honors Algebra 2 Trig, Pre-Calc, Calculus, AP Calc, AB requires an application. Speaking of applications, you will go directly to the teacher of the class who teaches the class you're applying for to get the application. And then you'll turn that in according to their guidelines. So when you're turning in your course sheet to counseling, which is through your English teacher, you're not going to turn in course applications to us. Those go to the teachers of the courses. All right, moving on to world languages. You have to have 2 years of the same world language as for graduation. This gets confusing because some people hear about colleges requiring more than 2 years. What I'm talking about right now are the Michigan merit curriculum graduation requirements. To get a high school diploma, you have to have 2 years of the same language. And if you started year 1 in 8th grade, that counts. So you can have Spanish 1 in 8th, Spanish 2 in 9th, and be done. Some of you might be in the 2nd or 3rd year of your language right now. If you haven't started your language yet, obviously you need to start that next year in 11th grade so that you have 11th and 12th grade to finish 2 years of your language. There are a couple of kind of loopholes around taking a 2nd year of a language, but that doesn't it's not the right fit for most students, especially if you're college bound. But you can have those conversations with your counselor if you feel like maybe you fit in the boat that doesn't need a 2nd year of a language. Again, we have French, German, Spanish, and American Sign Language. So you have to have 2 years of one of those. So you may or may not write something on this line. If you're done with your world language, you just leave it blank. So far you have circled the course title and the credit value on the left-hand side. It's really helpful for you and for us if you are circling your credit value in this column as well as the course title in this column. Here at the bottom, you have to add up to 7 credits. And if you've gone along and circled these, it kind of helps you add up as you go down. So you probably have 4 with English, social studies, science, and math. You might have a 5th with your world language, and maybe you're doubling up on science. So maybe that gets you to 6. And then again, if you're not taking econ, for example, because you already took marketing and passed the test, then subtract half. So basically you take what you've got in those columns already, you've got to get to 7, so figure out what the difference is, and that's how many credits worth of electives you need to select. If that's choir or band or something, you can start with those off the top. I will say right now, if you haven't taken health yet, you should definitely take that next year. You don't want to be a senior in health. If you haven't taken PE yet, for whatever reason, you should take that next year. You don't want to be a senior in the 9th grade PE. So let me mention that if you thought for whatever reason you didn't need PE because you were going to be a 3-season sport or do band and band camp for 3 years, and that has since changed, the PE class that satisfies your graduation requirement is this one, PE, Intro to Fitness. So if you're going into 11th grade and haven't taken this class yet, you can't take team sports or racket sports to satisfy the grad requirement. You can take one of those as an elective, but it won't check that box on your credit check sheet. So that would be important to get out of the way. I will review again the ways to get your PE credit if you're confused or unsure if you haven't gotten that yet. You can take the class, which is a semester long. You can do 3 seasons of any Heartland High School sport. It has to be affiliated with the high school. It can't be your travel team or your club team. It can be 3 different sports, the same sport, 2 sports, and any level. Freshman, JV, and varsity all count. Or you can do band for 3 years and attend band camp, and that waives your PE requirement. All right, so then you're gonna select electives. You write the credit value here in this column so that it helps you add up to 7. You write the course number here, and that's for your reference, and the course title here. Now, if you write any classes in your electives box that require teacher signature, that's what this space is for here. All right, so from English down to electives here, you have your perfect world 7 credits that if you had it your way, this is what you would do in 11th grade. Some of you know that on occasion we have to come down to your alternate box. It's super, super important that you pick 6 alternates and that you pick them carefully. We do work our way from number 1 down to number 6. So it's important that you rank order them. If you end up in your 5th or 6th alternate, that's because we had no other choice. So we end up pulling course sheets and looking at alternates to try to fix schedules when the computer has had an issue running your top 7. Okay, so we don't find joy or pleasure in putting students in their alternates, but it's a necessary that must be done when we have a conflict, like the class that you want conflicts with another class that you want, or a class fills up. So that's when the curriculum becomes really important, the curriculum guide, so that you're picking classes really carefully to fill out both your elective box and your alternate box. You're gonna write 6 alternates here. If you don't write 6, then your counselor might be forced to pick a class for you. Again, we'll do our best to try to pick a class that we think you will like. You know, I might look at your transcript and say, I see you've taken some art classes. I assume you like art, so I'm gonna put you in art. I might be wrong. We just don't know each of you well enough to make that choice for you, and we don't want to have to make that choice for you. So fill the box out with all 6 alternates and know that they're all fair game. Then you get a parent signature, your signature, and then your phone number so that it's easy to contact you if we run into something after school is out and we're still here working on schedules. And then for those of you who are remote too, so that we can kind of contact you quickly. All right. So the back side of the course sheet are all of the electives. Well, it's all of the course offerings, core classes, electives by department. So you can kind of hone in on a department that you know interests you, and look at the classes, the grade level, the credit value, and then if there's anything you need to know, application, prerequisite, teacher signature, that's on the right-hand side. And then in the bottom right, you see the HHS graduation requirements. So I talked about health and PE, world language. VPA is something that most students satisfy without necessarily going out of their way to satisfy. But keep in mind that you need 1 credit of visual performing applied arts. Some of these classes here are a full credit, like if you've taken journalism, you've got it done. Choir, band, those are a full credit of VPA. Some of these are half, so you might need to take computer apps and debate, and then you have it done. Like I said, most students end up satisfying VPA without even being intentional about it. Going into 11th or 12th grade, if you haven't taken any of your VPA credit yet, you might want to look at this and say, like, okay, I'm going to take 1 or 2 of these next year to try to get that out of the way. I accessed this VPA sheet here on the website underneath the course selection sheets. If you're in person, you've received a hard copy of that. It's printed on the back side of this, which I will click on next, online scheduling in Student Connect. These are your instructions for loading your course requests into Student Connect. This is a huge step. You can't miss this step. If you miss this step, then the computer is empty and isn't counting your course requests. So you log into Student Connect, and we've put your password on your course sheet in case you've forgotten it. You follow these steps to enter your course requests. Step 9 is to click submit. If you don't do that, they won't save. We have students who think that they've entered them, but you have to click submit, or else they just disappear. If you are intending to apply to a shared time program, I'll talk about this next, you do not put your shared time program into Student Connect. So let me come back to the course sheet too. These are the shared time programs, Applied Tech out of district, right here. And I'll go to the curriculum guide next. You can't write that here on your electives because those programs all have applications and not everybody who applies gets in. And so your counselors need to know what you want if you're here in this building all day. You are more than welcome to write on the column, on the left-hand side, in this box, if you have room. You can put somewhere on this sheet, I want the construction program. And then we will have that conversation when we meet in February. You can also mark on your course sheet which classes you would like to drop should you get into that shared time program. So you might write your electives here and then mark the ones that you don't want if you get into the shared time program that you're applying to. Shared time is 3 hours of your day. So that's 3 credits that you would come out of in order to make room for it. But it's super important that you don't include that in these 7 credits, okay? You can indicate that that's your hope, but we need to know which 7 credits you want in case you don't get in or you change your mind. So remember that, and then you don't put that into Student Connect. Okay, here's the curriculum guide. The shared time programs are in the very first department. So these are all of the programs that are housed at different high schools in the county. You'll see on the right-hand side where it's located. So Ag-Sci, Agricultural Science, is located at Fowlerville High School. A couple of them are not at a high school. They're at like a third-party location. Cosmetology is at Brighton Institute of Cos. EMT is at the Livingston County Public Safety Complex. Most of these are at a different high school though. These programs, make sure you note the grade level and what the prerequisite is for them. And then when you scroll, again, you'll see course descriptions and learn more about them. Some of you might be interested in something called the Early Middle College. I'm going to click another form for you. Additional course offerings. So this outlines a lot of kind of like different unique opportunities for you guys. It's got shared time here on the bottom, and then on the right side, it explains Early Middle College. You might have heard of this, you might not have. I'm going to give you a brief overview because you're in the grade where you would decide if you want to move toward pursuing a middle college opportunity. So basically, this applies to you if one of these shared time programs interests you. There are not any middle college programs that aren't tied to one of these. So unfortunately, if you're in a position where you want to be a teacher, for example, there isn't a shared time program that leads into a middle college down the education pathway, okay? So on the right-hand side, you'll see the early middle college pathways and the credential that it leads you to. In a nutshell, the early middle college gets you a credential after your 13th year of high school. So the idea is that you do the shared time program in 11th grade, and then in 12th grade, you take college classes, which are working toward the credential that you've selected. Those classes are paid for by the school, and most of our seniors in the middle college don't ever step foot at Heartland High School, but you can, and if you choose to, participate in the senior year activities. So you can do the senior walk and prom and go to graduation, but you don't actually receive your diploma until the following year after you finish your 13th year. Again, you don't come to Heartland High School that 13th year. You're taking college classes, you're working toward a credential, we're paying for it. So it's kind of complicated to understand, and it fits like a narrow population. But if it's something that interests you, it's an awesome opportunity. You just have to be flexible and willing to go with the flow. So basically, if one of these shared time programs interests you and you're like, this is kind of intriguing, you should talk to your counselor about it when you meet in February. DEEP is for seniors only, and then blended courses. So next year you could choose to take Blended English 11, if that interests you, that's a class that's taught by a Heartland High School teacher, but you only report to class like 1 day a week. The other 4 days are done virtually. So we've had blended classes for years and years. If blended English interests you, you do need to be a strong English student. You need to be able to manage your own time and communicate and all of those things. You probably have a good idea of if you'd be a good fit for blended based on some of our remote opportunities that we've had so far this year. The blended class does have a separate kind of approval system. So that will be something, let me go back to the course sheet. If Blended English 11 interests you, you should write that somewhere in this opening or over here where the teacher signature goes. And then when you meet with your counselor in February, we'll give you the form that you need to kind of get signed up for Blended English. Speaking of online, online courses are also an option through Michigan Virtual. This here is the course catalog for Michigan Virtual classes. If you click that, you might find an elective through Michigan Virtual that really interests you that Heartland doesn't have to offer. That's another thing that you would talk to your counselor about in February. There is a GPA requirement, and again, some students might not be the right fit for this, but that's an opportunity for you too. And then the last thing on this website are the AP and blended parent agreements. So these are the forms I was talking about for blended, where you have to get that returned in order to get into blended. The AP parent agreement will be something that we give you when we meet in February. You might have done one this year if you're in an AP course. So we'll get to that down the road too. Okay, I think I've gone over everything here on the website. I have more things I want to say though. Testing out. If you have questions about testing out, or you know there's a class you want to try to test out of, that's over here on the left side too. Click testing out. Basically, test out means you take the final exam and do any other required work for the end of a class. If you earn a 77% or better, you'll get test out credit on your transcript. You will be done with that class. In order to sign up for the May 26th test out date, you have to fill out the registration form by March 17th. That form is up here in red. It's a Google form for you to fill out. You'll receive study materials in April, you'll take the test in May, and again, if you pass, you get the credit on your transcript. If between now and the end of the school year, you have decided that there is something on your course sheet you'd like to change, you are free to do that. You just need to come and see us. I'll stop sharing my screen. There we go. So we're super flexible between now and the end of the year. If you want to change your mind about something, come and see us, send us an email, give us a call. We are free to do that. Once the last day of school happens, we're not as flexible because we take the course requests that you guys give us and enter into the computer, and we make that many sections of the class because this many kids asked for it. So we don't have the room to make changes left and right after kind of all of those decisions have been made. I also want to talk about repeating classes. If you're in a situation where you didn't pass a class in 9th or 10th grade and it's a class you need for graduation, that will be a discussion that you can have with your counselor. You have a few ways you can earn that credit back. You can repeat the class here in the building. So you'd have to put that on your course sheet. You can do summer school. Summer school is totally online. So it's work at your own pace. There is a kind of a time frame you have to work in though, but it costs $150. So a give and a take there. I think that's everything I wanted to say. Nope, I just thought of something and I'm gonna reshare my screen. Back to the course sheet. So I have two things I want to say. If you are looking at a shared time program or a deep program or some sort of unique 12th grade year, and you have any graduation requirements that you haven't gotten out of the way yet, like your world language, your health, your PE, your VPA, I recommend doing that in 11th grade so that you're not in a pickle in 12th grade where there's this opportunity you want to take advantage of, but you don't have room for it in your schedule. Might also be the case for somebody who has credit recovery. If you need to repeat English 9B, do it now, unless you plan to do summer school, because you want to have room in your senior year to get all those other opportunities done. So that would come here in the electives box. I forgot to say, again, when you're picking out alternates, you need to pick 6 unique alternates. So if you've written 4 electives up here, your first 4 alternates can't be those same classes. We've seen it done before. Every single year, somebody writes, you know, art, marketing, and genetics, and then their first 3 alternates are art, marketing, genetics. That doesn't help us. That just pushes us to your 4th choice. So make sure that you're writing classes that you haven't written up top, that you are not writing classes that you've already taken, because you can't repeat classes you've earned credit for, and that you're writing classes that you would actually be happy to take. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about picking electives and alternates. Okay, so what's going to happen next? You will turn everything in on January 28th. Beginning in February, we will do our individual scheduling meetings. You are probably familiar with these, where your English class comes to the Career Center, which is the computer lab attached to the counseling office. And we have you in our offices one at a time to review your course selections. We're going to be doing something very similar this year, but down in the media center so that we have more space to spread out. So you'll meet with us at that time. We will review any applications to see if you've gotten into classes you've applied to. We will check for teacher signatures on your course sheets. We will make sure that everything that's been entered into the computer is accurate. We will go over your credit check to make sure that you've selected the right classes you need for graduation. Answer any questions that you might have. We'll also talk some more about shared time, you know, all of these different opportunities. So you have that coming up in February. For remote students, we will be making time available on February 26th for you to kind of sign up or drop in to have an individual scheduling meeting with your counselor here in the building on the 26th. But for all of you, remote, face-to-face alike, if you have questions, we're available via email or phone. You can pop in if you're here in the building, and we will try to answer your questions if you have stuff you want to talk about before February. Of course, I want to share my screen one more time. So at the Heartland High School website, counseling, here is our alpha breakdown. So you can find out who your counselor is by alphabet. This is the counseling phone numbers. This will give you a menu to pick your counselor. And then all of our emails are first and last name at heartlandschools.us. And then you can contact us that way. So if you have questions in the meantime, let us know. I had another thought that left my brain. Be checking your emails, because we're going to be definitely doing a lot of communicating that way. And yeah, we will see you in February, but let us know if you have questions in the meantime.